Good morning, my name is Matthew Hugo from Weather Commerce, and this is this morning's weather brief on Monday the 6th of June. Today's weather brief will cover a summary on the West European 5-day average temperatures, the UK, Europe, Scandinavian precipitation, and finally global weather alerts. Firstly, we'll take a summarised look at the mean surface temperatures across Europe. And starting between days 11 and 15, confidence levels are medium, given a general lack of model consistency and agreement from previous days, for temperatures to be either near or trending slightly below climate averages across the majority of Europe, as rather cool conditions dominate the weather. Between days 6 and 10, confidence levels are medium or perhaps medium to high given model agreement and consistency, for quite a cool spell of weather to be evident across the majority of Europe between days 6 and 10. Some central and eastern areas of Europe, including Austria for example, may have temperatures at least 3 or 4 degrees below climate averages, as predominantly cool conditions dominate across most areas. The cool trend continues between days 2 and 5 as well, with medium or perhaps medium to high confidence to suggest that temperatures will also remain generally below climate averages as cool weather dominates across most areas of Europe. We will now take a look at the United Kingdom in some closer detail, and over the next 2 to 5 days confidence levels are medium to high or perhaps even high, given that there is good model agreement and consistency for temperatures to be at least 2 or perhaps 3 degrees below climate averages, as cool conditions and also unsettled conditions dominate the weather across the United Kingdom. The generally good or perhaps even very good model agreement and consistency continues between days 6 and 10. During this period, temperatures are forecast to be at least perhaps 3 or 4 degrees below climate mean of around 15 degrees Celsius, as once again very cool and unsettled conditions dominate the weather across the majority of the United Kingdom. The following weather chart helps to illustrate the situation why temperatures are likely to be below climate averages across the United Kingdom. An area of low pressure situated just to the north of the United Kingdom is forecast to produce cool west or northwesterly winds throughout the majority of the forecast period, and hence maintain unsettled and cool conditions across most areas, at least up to the 17th and 18th of June. And finally, within the long term, as we move beyond the 14th and 15th of June, despite a trend for temperatures to recover somewhat when compared with earlier in the forecast period, the majority, if not all, of the available forecast models have temperatures either near or trending slightly below climate averages by 1 or 2 degrees, as predominantly cool and unsettled conditions maintain themselves across the UK. We're now taking a closer look at the expected temperature trends across Europe. And as earlier discussed within the audio brief, between days 11 and 15, the majority, if not all, of the available forecast models have temperatures either near or trending slightly below climate averages across the majority of central and western areas of Europe. The latest France model comparison graph helps illustrate this situation, and despite some model divergence, with perhaps the Metro model taking temperatures to near or perhaps just slightly above climate averages, while some of the latest GFS deterministic runs have temperatures at least 4 or 5 degrees below climate averages, overall there is a signal for temperatures to generally remain around 1 or perhaps 2 degrees below climate averages across the majority of Europe within the longer term. Confidence levels are medium or perhaps medium to high, given good model agreement and consistency to suggest that the 6 to 10 day period in particular is likely to be quite cool, particularly for the time of year. Some central and eastern areas of Europe, including Switzerland and Austria for example, may have temperatures at least 4 or 5 degrees below climate averages, as the rather cool conditions maintain themselves across the majority of Europe. Using the latest Austria model comparison graph as an example, you can see that between the 10th and say the 13th and 14th of June, confidence levels are medium or medium to high, given the good model agreement consistency for temperatures to be at least 3 or 4 degrees below a climate mean of around 20 degrees Celsius. This temperature trend is quite representative of many other areas of Europe, and as a result confidence levels are medium or medium to high to suggest that the 6 to 10 day period is likely to be particularly cool for the time of year. And finally, within the short term, over the next 2 to 5 days, confidence levels are medium to high or high to continue to suggest that cool conditions are likely to maintain themselves across the majority of Europe, but particularly across some central and also western areas of Europe, including France, the UK and even Spain for example, where temperatures may be at least 4 or 5 degrees below climate averages. I'm now taking a look at the expected precipitation forecasts across Scandinavia over the next 7 to 14 days. And there is a trend throughout the next 7 to 14 days for many western areas of Scandinavia, including the majority of Norway and also the majority of Sweden, to have precipitation totals trending above or potentially well above climate averages, particularly across some central and southern areas of Norway, where in excess of 150 millimetres of rainfall is possible. In contrast, many central and eastern areas of Scandinavia, including far eastern areas of Sweden and also the majority of Finland, is forecast to have precipitation totals either near or trending slightly below climate averages, as high pressure is more influential here, and as a result conditions are likely to be drier than normal. We're now taking a look at global weather alerts, which highlight significant deviations from normal. And the trend from the last several days for temperatures across western areas of the United States to be at least 6 to 8 degrees below climate averages is expected to continue over the next 6 or 7 days at least. In contrast, many central and eastern areas of the country is likely to have temperatures trending above climate averages, with in places temperatures generally above 30 degrees Celsius, as much warmer conditions dominate here. Well above average temperatures are also forecast across many central and northern regions of China over the next 7 to 10 days at least. Here temperatures may be in excess of 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is comfortably 6 to 10 degrees above the climate averages, as very warm if not hot conditions dominate over the next week to 10 days at least. In contrast, over the next 7 to 10 days at least, temperatures are forecast to be below climate averages across the majority of Australia. Some areas may have temperatures at least 4 to 6 degrees below climate averages, and some southern and southeastern areas of the country in particular are likely to have temperatures trending near to freezing, as quite cold conditions dominate the weather. Thank you for listening to today's weather brief. Goodbye.